The Galactic Council station floated in the deep silence of space, orbiting the bright blue giant star known as Virex. From a distance, the station looked like a silver ring wrapped around a glowing core. Ships of all shapes and sizes docked along its massive arms, some sleek and sharp, others wide and heavy. This was the heart of galactic politics, where hundreds of species gathered to make decisions that affected entire worlds. Darius Vaughn stood at the wide viewport of his ship, the Argent Crest, watching the station grow larger as they approached. He was calm, his hands behind his back, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. Tall, broad-shouldered, with short black hair and a strong jaw, Darius looked more like a general than a diplomat, but his mind was sharper than any weapon. He had built Earth's most powerful tech empire and walked away from it all to represent humanity on the galaxy's largest stage. Behind him, his assistant Juno spoke, her voice soft but urgent. "We've received the final protocol update from Council Command. You'll speak third in the opening session. High Chancellor Threx is first." Darius nodded slowly. "Of course he is. Let him set the tone. I'll change the tune." Juno didn't smile. She rarely did. A former intelligence officer, she knew how serious this mission was. The Galactic Council had existed for over 5,000 years. Earth had only joined 10 years ago, and already many of the older species were uneasy about how fast humans were rising. The ship docked. Darius walked calmly down the ramp into the Council's arrival hall. The space was massive, filled with light and the low hum of translation drones. Alien delegates turned to look as he entered. Some curious, some cautious, some clearly hostile. Darius wore a custom black suit, stitched with threads of reactive graphene. It was armor and fashion in one. A soft blue crest on his chest marked him as Earth's ambassador. He didn't bow, he didn't flinch, he walked like he belonged. As he entered the chamber, he spotted High Chancellor Threx Volune across the hall. The Salon leader stood tall, his long silver robes trailing behind him. His pale skin shimmered, his golden eyes cold. Threx had ruled the council for over a century. He had no love for humans. Threx turned, met Darius's gaze, and offered a thin, controlled smile. "Ah, the child of Earth arrives," he said aloud, his voice echoing slightly through the hall. "Let us hope you've come to listen and not disrupt." Darius stopped only a few steps away. He returned the smile, polite but firm. "I've come to speak, Chancellor. Earth's voice will be heard, clearly." The air between them was still. Delegates nearby paused, watching the quiet tension. Darius moved on without another word, walking toward Earth's seat in the Grand Chamber. It was set near the back, far from the central platform. That was the tradition. New members were seated behind the founding species, but Darius had no intention of staying in the back forever. As he sat and looked around, he knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was watching. Before Earth joined the Galactic Council, the planet was on the edge of collapse. Climate disasters, wars and greed had pushed it close to ruin. Cities drowned, forests burned, and nations fought over the last clean water and energy. For a long time, survival seemed like the only goal humanity could manage. But humans did what they always do when pushed to the edge. They adapted. In the early 2800s, a wave of change began. It started with scientists building clean fusion reactors. Engineers repaired the skies with weather control systems. Old governments fell, and a united Earth government rose, focused on recovery instead of rivalry. People learned to work together, not just for nations, but for the survival of their species. Darius Vaughn was born in the middle of this turning point. He grew up in the flooded ruins of old New York, in a shelter built from metal scraps and solar panels. His mother was a mechanic. His father was missing, vanished during one of the last resource wars. From a young age, Darius showed a gift with machines. By the time he was 12, he was building neural chips from scrap. By 20, he had founded Vontech, the company that would change Earth forever. Vontech created the first stable quantum AI network, an intelligence that could learn and evolve far faster than any system before. With it, Earth solved food distribution, city planning, even space travel. Darius became the richest man alive. But he didn't stop there. He started building ships, sleek, fast, beautiful vessels that could travel to the stars. While others chased profit, Darius chased vision. He wanted humanity to look up, not just survive. Within 2 decades, Earth launched its first colony on Titan, then another on Proxima b. That was when the Galactic Council noticed. At first, they sent envoys, curious, wary. The Council had watched civilizations rise and fall across thousands of years. Many feared humanity would bring chaos. Some called humans too emotional, too unpredictable, but Darius knew better. He met the council with respect, but never weakness. He didn't beg for a seat. He presented results. He showed Earth's technology, its unity, its strength, and they let humans in. That was 10 years ago. Now Earth was still the youngest member, but also one of the fastest growing. Its ships patrolled trade lanes. Its voice was rising in debates. Some praised this growth, others feared it. Back in his private quarters aboard the station, Darius looked out at the stars. He tapped the glass slowly, lost in thought. Juno entered behind him. "Tomorrow's session has been moved up," she said. "Chancellor Threx requested it." "Of course he did," Darius replied. "He wants to speak before anything goes wrong." He turned to face her. "You know what they don't understand, Juno? What? We didn't get here by luck. We didn't stumble into greatness. We built it, piece by piece. No one gave it to us, and we won't let anyone take it." He stared at the glowing core of the council station. It pulsed like a star trapped in metal. The galaxy might see Earth as young, but youth was not weakness. It was power waiting to be used. The council chamber was silent. High Chancellor Threx Volun stood tall in the center of the circular hall, his silver robes shimmering under the white lights. The long, curved table around him held the leaders of over 100 civilizations. Holographic projectors floated above, ready to display the evidence. Threx's golden eyes scanned the room. "This is not a time for delay," he said, his voice deep and smooth. "A colony in the Lyra sector has been destroyed. Thousands of lives lost. We must respond." He raised one long, pale hand, and the chamber dimmed. The holograms came to life. A silent video played. A peaceful colony, green forests, silver towers, domed homes. Then flashes of light, explosions, smoke. Ships swarmed above like insects. The image froze on a blurry frame, 3 sharp black spacecraft slicing through the sky. "Computer," Threx said, "zoom and enhance." The ships became clear, sleek, angular, human-made. Gasps filled the chamber. The name on one hull was visible, UFS Seraph, a ship registered to Earth's Unity Fleet. Darius sat still in his seat, hands folded in front of him. He watched every frame, not with fear, but focus. Threx's voice rang out. "We traced signal records. The fleet entered Lyro's space without permission. No warnings, no communication, and then destruction. The lights returned. This," Threx said, "was an act of war." He let the words hang in the air. Then he turned directly to Darius. "How do you answer, Ambassador Von?" All eyes turned to the human. Darius stood. His black suit reflected the chamber's lights. His voice was calm. "I answer with this. Earth had no part in the Lyros attack." Murmurs rose. He raised his hand. "Let me be clear. The Seraph was decommissioned 5 years ago. It no longer exists. That ship, if it's even real, was either stolen or faked, and Earth has never deployed ships in Lyro space. We follow council law." Threx tilted his head. "And yet we have your ship, your signal, and your silence before this meeting." Darius met his gaze. "We were silent because we didn't have the facts, but we will find them." Threx turned back to the council. "I call for Earth's suspension from this body until a full investigation is complete." Shouts filled the air, some in agreement, others in protest. Council members argued across languages and frequencies. Some pounded tables, some whispered with their aides. Darius stood alone in the storm, unmoved. Finally, the council moderator struck the table with a glowing rod. "Order. A vote will be scheduled in 3 days." The chamber emptied slowly. Darius remained behind, staring at the frozen image of the destroyed colony. Juno appeared beside him. "You think Threx planted the evidence?" "I don't think," Darius said quietly. "I know." He turned to her. "Get Nova. Tell her it's time to dig." Juno nodded and left. Darius stayed a moment longer. He looked at the fake image of Earth's ship. He didn't know yet who built it, who sent it, or how they got his fleet's design. But he knew one thing. Someone wanted Earth out of the council, and they were willing to start a war to make it happen. The private halls of the council station were quieter than the main chamber. Soft lights lined the walls, and a gentle hum filled the air from the life support systems. But for Darius Von, there was no peace here. He stood at the large window in his suite, watching the stars burn slowly beyond the transparent glass. His reflection stared back, calm but alert. Behind him, Juno's voice broke the silence. "They're moving fast," she said. 7 council members already support Earth's suspension. 5 are undecided. The rest won't say a word. Darius nodded slowly. Threx planned this well. Too well. Juno crossed her arms. The image of the ship, it looked real. Darius turned around. It was. The design was perfect. Too perfect. He walked over to the display table in the middle of the room. He tapped a command into the panel. A hologram appeared, an exact model of the UFS Seraph. He rotated it with a swipe. This ship hasn't flown in 5 years. We stripped it down for parts. No logs, no crew, no weapons. But now it shows up in a war zone. Juno leaned in. So what are we dealing with? Either someone rebuilt it, or someone faked it. At that moment the door slid open. A woman stepped in, tall, lean, and dressed in a dark flight suit. Her hair was short and white, her eyes sharp. This was Nova, once a pilot, now one of Darius's most trusted agents. "You called me?" she asked, her voice steady. Darius smiled faintly. "Good to see you, Nova. We've got a mess to clean up." She glanced at the holoship. "Let me guess. Frame job?" "Exactly," Darius said. "I need you to trace the data from the Lyris attack. I want to know who planted that ship, who sent it, and how they accessed our records." Nova nodded. "I'll start now, but if they're smart, they've buried it deep." "Then dig deeper," Darius said. Quietly, "If Threx finds out we're investigating, he'll shut every door." Nova turned and left without another word. Darius looked back at the stars. He remembered the early days of Earth's Council membership, the cautious glances, the backhanded compliments, the warning smiles. "You've done well for your kind. Impressive progress for a new species." Now Earth was a threat, not because it was dangerous, but because it was rising too fast. Some couldn't accept that, especially Threx. Juno checked a small data pad. "The media channels are spreading the footage. Public opinion is turning." Darius exhaled. "That's how it starts. Doubt becomes fear. Fear becomes action." He walked to the communications console. With a few taps, he opened a direct line to Earth. The signal took a few seconds to connect. A man appeared on the screen. "General Kale, commander of Earth's Unity Fleet." "General," Darius said, "I need confirmation on the Seraph." Kale frowned. "Decommissioned. I was there when we broke it down. No one touched that frame in years." "Good. I need all remaining records sent here. Full logs, visual history, anything we missed." "Understood. But what's going on?" Darius looked him in the eye. "Someone wants to make Earth the enemy, and we need to stop them before the Council believes it." The screen blinked off. Juno stepped closer. "What happens if they vote to suspend us?" Darius turned to her. "Then Earth stands alone. No protection, no voice, and no allies in Council space." He paused. "But I won't let that happen." Outside the window, the stars continued to burn, silent, watching, waiting. Nova moved like a shadow through the dim halls of the Council station's lower decks. These areas were far from the shining Council chambers. Here the walls were bare metal, the lights flickered, the air smelled of machine oil and recycled filters. This was where the real work happened, where secrets lived. She tapped a small chip behind her ear. A faint hum activated in her skull. The world shifted. Her neural visor lit up, revealing hidden data lines and signal trails, unseen threads of the Council's vast network. She was a ghost in their system now. Nova reached a private access terminal tucked behind a vent. She connected her wrist pad and typed fast. She wasn't just looking for files. She was hunting for something deeper, code buried under fake logs, hidden by smart liars. The attack footage on the UFS Seraph was too perfect. Even the explosion patterns matched real Earth weapons. But Nova had trained for this. Before working for Darius, she was part of Earth's cyber intelligence unit. She'd seen how easy it was to make a lie look like truth. She pulled the video file apart, frame by frame. "Come on, show me your cracks," she whispered. Then she found it, a delay in the energy pulse signature. Barely a tenth of a second, not enough for most to notice, but for Nova it was a flashing red flag. She cross-checked it with Earth's known weapon patterns. The signature was close, but not exact. "They copied us," she said, smiling slightly, "but not well enough." She copied the segment and kept digging. Far above her, in the Council tower, Darius stood before the Council again. The emergency debate was heated. Alien voices filled the room, translated into dozens of languages at once. Earth ships were there, a delegate from the Zaan Collective shouted. "And yet Earth denies all involvement," another snapped. Darius stood calm in the center. "I have teams looking into this attack. We will prove Earth's innocence." Threx, seated high in his ornate chair, leaned forward. "And if you fail, Ambassador Vaughn." Darius looked up. His voice was steady. "Then I will accept the vote, but I won't fail." The chamber quieted. Threx's smile was cold. "We shall see." Back in the lower decks, Nova's search led her deeper. She found a hidden access point used just days before the attack. It was routed through a secure Salon diplomatic node, one that shouldn't have access to Earth's military files. She froze. "Got you," she said. She downloaded the logs and shut down her connection. Alarms hadn't been triggered. Not yet. But whoever planted the fake Seraph had used Cylon tech, and that was more than a clue. It was proof. Nova contacted Darius through a secure line. "I found something," she said. "Real evidence." The attack logs were tampered with from inside the station. The source, a Cylon node. Darius didn't speak for a second. "Bring it to me," he said. Quietly, Nova nodded. "On my way." The line went dead. Back in the chamber, Threx was still speaking, feeding the council fear wrapped in polite words. Darius stood still, but his mind raced. Now he had a lead. The truth was beginning to surface. And someone, maybe the most powerful figure in the galaxy, was about to be exposed. The private council lounge was dimly lit, filled with soft music and quiet conversations in dozens of alien tongues. Delegates came here to speak freely, away from cameras and official records. Deals were made here. Alliances formed, truths traded in whispers. Darius Vaughn stepped inside and paused at the entrance. He wore a dark blue suit this time, subtle armor hidden beneath. His face was unreadable, calm, measured. Around the room, alien leaders glanced up as he walked in. Some nodded politely, others looked away. He moved to a quiet table in the corner. Soon 3 figures joined him. First was Ambassador Thella of Tyrannus Prime, a reptilian diplomat with deep green scales and sharp yellow eyes. She respected strength, but valued facts more. Second was Delegate Jorn of the Valari, a floating being of light and gas, who communicated through pulses and tones translated by a hovering drone. Jorn was neutral until persuaded. Third was Minister Callum of the Aris Confederacy, short and grey-skinned, known for trading information like currency. Darius spoke first. "You've all seen the footage. You've heard Threx's accusations. Now I ask, what do you believe?" Thella's voice was rough. "The evidence looks real." "Looks," Darius repeated, "but I now have proof that it was faked, tampered with from inside this very station." Jorn's translator buzzed. "Then show us this proof." "Soon," Darius said, "but I need time and support. If I fall alone, the truth dies with me." Callum leaned in. "And what do we gain, Ambassador, by standing with Earth?" Darius met his eyes. "You gain balance. You gain a council not ruled by one species. Threx wants to control everything. Today it's Earth. Tomorrow it could be you." Thella's eyes narrowed. "You speak like a soldier, not a diplomat." "I've been both," Darius said. "But right now I'm a man trying to stop a war." Thella leaned back, watching him. Jorn pulsed softly. "We will listen, but only if your evidence holds." Darius stood. "It will." As he left the table, a small device in his ear beeped once. "Nova." He stepped into a quiet corridor and answered. "Go ahead. I'm sending the full trace log now," Nova said. "Confirmed access from the Cylon diplomatic corps, the same one Threx uses." Darius closed his eyes for a second. "Perfect." He ended the call and headed for his suite. Inside, Juno was waiting. She stood next to a large screen, displaying data logs, signal trails and images of the attack. "Nova's findings?" she asked. "Yes," Darius said. "Clear link to Threx." He set the whole thing up. Juno stared at the data. "You're going to present this?" "Not yet," Darius replied. "First we prepare the battlefield. I want everyone to see the truth all at once. Public, live, unedited. Let Threx try to lie in front of the whole galaxy." Juno nodded. "Dangerous, but effective." Darius walked to the window. The stars beyond seemed closer now, more alive. He wanted Earth silenced, he said. "Instead, we'll speak louder than ever." Far across the station, Threx stood in his private chamber, watching an old recording, an image of Darius's first day at the council, 10 years ago. A young human. Bold. Too bold. Threx turned to his aide. "He's becoming a problem." The aide nodded. "Shall we proceed with containment?" Threx smiled faintly. "Let him speak. Let him think he's winning. When the time comes, we'll remind him how easily stars can be snuffed out." Back in his suite, Darius loaded Nova's data into a secure core. The pieces were coming together. The game was reaching its peak, and the truth was almost ready to strike. Nova gripped the flight controls of her stealth shuttle as it cut silently through the black void. The ship was small, fast, and cloaked. She was heading toward the edge of Lyra space, where the destroyed colony once stood. Most of the wreckage had been cleared, but Nova knew something would remain. Fakers always missed something. The stars shimmered outside her canopy. Far ahead, a debris field blinked on her scanners, a quiet graveyard of broken metal and ruined lives. Her fingers tightened on the controls. She slowed the ship and drifted closer. Pieces of the destroyed colony floated like frozen bones, burnt frames, shattered solar arrays, and among it all, a shape that didn't match the others. A ship hull. Nova brought the shuttle to a stop and donned her suit. Within minutes she was outside, floating toward the wreckage, Her boots touched the broken surface. Her helmet's lights flicked on. It wasn't Earth-made, it only looked like it was. The design was close, almost perfect, but Nova saw the details, the wrong angle on the engine coils, the older version of Earth's logo. The material wasn't Earth alloy either. It was heavier, duller. She activated her scanner and ran a full sweep. Then she found it, a hidden transponder, burned but not completely destroyed. It was buried under a metal panel. With careful hands, Nova pulled it free. The device flickered to life. Her visor translated the signal. Salon Manufacturing Node, code 1471B. Her breath caught. This was it, a Salon tracking system, hidden inside a fake human ship. Nova returned to her shuttle and began transmitting the data back to Darius immediately. She added a full scan of the wreck, along with her analysis. No doubts, no gaps. The evidence was solid. Back at the council station, Darius watched the file appear on his terminal. He stood over it as it loaded, every second slow with tension. Juno read the data beside him. "It's a Salon decoy," she said quietly. "They built the fake ship, planted it at the scene. Threx set the whole thing up," Darius said, voice firm. "He staged an attack, killed thousands, and framed Earth, all to keep power." He opened a secure line to Nova. "Get back now. We're going live tomorrow." Nova's voice came through, steady. "I'll be there." Darius turned to Juno. "Prepare the council. I want the chamber full. Delegates, press, public channels. No edits, no filters. Let everyone see the truth." Juno hesitated. "That's risky." Darius shook his head. "It's the only way. If we don't do this now, Threx will twist the narrative again." That night, Darius slept little. He stood alone by the window of his suite, watching the stars again. But this time, they felt different. Tomorrow would change everything. In the silence, he remembered Earth's early days in the council, the long speeches, the hidden laughter behind alien eyes, the whispers that humans were too loud, too fast, too wild. Now they would learn the truth. Earth was not the threat. Earth was the spark, and the fire was coming. The council chamber was packed. Every seat was filled. Delegates from over 100 species sat in silence. Floating recorders and camera drones hovered overhead, broadcasting the session live to billions across the galaxy. Today's meeting wasn't just a debate. It was a public trial. The accused, Earth. The accuser, High Chancellor Threx Volune. At the center of the chamber, Darius Von stood tall, calm and ready. Threx sat in his elevated seat, expression calm but sharp. He wore a silver sash, the mark of a ruling chancellor. But his eyes watched Darius with growing tension. The council moderator called the chamber to order. "Today's session will review the evidence regarding the attack on the Lyros colony. Earth stands accused of orchestrating the strike. Ambassador Von, you may begin." Darius stepped forward. The lights dimmed. A single hollow projector activated beside him. 3 days ago, Darius said, we were shown footage of a ship marked UFS Seraph, a human vessel, attacking a neutral colony. That ship was decommissioned years ago. And today, I will prove that what you saw was not a mistake, but a setup. He raised his hand. The hologram changed. Nova's scans filled the air, wreckage, ship fragments, and the damaged transponder she recovered. "This," Darius said, pointing to the device, "is a Salon-made tracking node. It was found inside the wreckage of the fake Seraph." Gasps filled the chamber. Darius continued, "This node doesn't belong on any Earth ship. It was embedded in a perfect copy of our vessel, built to mimic Earth design but made from Salon alloys. And here's the data trail that proves it." The hologram showed transmission logs, clear timestamps, routes through the council's own systems. All led back to one secure node, Threx Volune's private diplomatic channel. The room erupted. Delegates shouted over one another. Some stood. Others demanded verification. The moderator pounded her staff for silence. Darius kept speaking. "The colony wasn't destroyed by Earth. It was sacrificed to frame us, to make you fear us, and the evidence shows who gave the order." He turned to face Threx. The High Chancellor remained still, but his eyes no longer hid the pressure behind them. Darius wasn't done. "One of Threx's own aides has come forward. I now call upon Council security to escort him in." The chamber doors opened. A young Salon male entered, flanked by guards. He looked nervous but determined. He stepped into the light and spoke, voice shaky but clear. "I was ordered to route Salon intelligence through Earth design records. I was told it was for a training simulation. I didn't know it would be used for real until after the attack." Darius nodded slowly. "Thank you." The chamber fell quiet again. Then the moderator spoke. Council protocol allows for emergency judgment when clear betrayal is proven. All in favor of removing Chancellor Threx from leadership, say aye. A wave of sound swept the room. Aye, said one voice, then another, then 100 more. Threx rose from his seat, still proud, but the silence around him was louder than any words. He turned to Darius. You think removing me will change the order of the galaxy? Darius looked him in the eye. I don't want to change the order. I want to make it fair. Council guards stepped forward. Threx raised his hands and walked calmly with them. No struggle, just a quiet end to an old rule. Darius stood alone at the center of the chamber as the votes continued. Threx was gone, but the real change was still to come. The next day the Galactic Council met again, but this time the mood was different. There was no tension in the air, no shouting, no fear, only silence, heavy with realization. Threx Volion was gone, stripped of power, removed by the very council he once ruled. Darius Von stood at the center of the chamber once more, but not as a defendant. Now all eyes turned to him, not with suspicion, but with respect. The moderator stepped forward. The council recognizes Earth's innocence. The evidence has been reviewed and confirmed. The attack on the Lyros colony was a deliberate act of sabotage by Chancellor Threx. Earth's seat is secure. There was a moment of quiet. Then came the real question. Ambassador Von, the moderator said, the council must now decide what comes next. The old leadership system is broken. We invite you to speak on Earth's vision for the future. Darius looked around. He saw faces from every corner of the galaxy, some still cautious, others hopeful. He spoke clearly. For thousands of years, this council has been ruled by the founders, the oldest empires, the strongest voices, but strength alone should not lead. Not anymore. He paused. Earth came late. We learned fast. We made mistakes, but we also grew, and we believe leadership should rotate, shared, balanced, not controlled by one species forever. Some delegates nodded. Others looked unsure. We propose a new structure, Darius continued. No permanent seats, no lifetime rule. Every member world, old or new, gets a voice, a vote and a chance to lead. He tapped a control on the podium. A new council model appeared in the air. Rotating chairs, transparent decisions, open records. This system won't be perfect, but it will be fair, and it will belong to all of us. Silence again. Then Theller of Taranis Prime stood. Earth has proven its place here. I support the motion. Jorn of the Velari floated upward. His translator chimed. Balance brings peace. We support it. One by one, delegates rose in agreement. Even Minister Callum, who traded in secrets, stood and said, a shared council is harder to corrupt. I vote yes. A final vote was cast. The council approved Earth's plan. Darius exhaled. Not relief, focus, determination. Later, he stood alone in the Hall of Stars, the high observation deck at the top of the council station. He looked out at the glowing trails of ships moving through space. The stars beyond were bright, endless. Juno stepped beside him. You did it. No, Darius said. We all did. He was no longer just a representative, no longer a businessman, no longer the voice of a rising power. He was now something more. Chosen by the council, Darius Von was appointed as the first rotating chair of the new era. The age of dominion was over. The age of unity had begun. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never looked like this before. Gone were the towering banners of the founding species. Gone were the elevated thrones and golden seals of power. In their place stood a single round table, smooth, equal, and open. Every delegate sat at the same level. Every voice had the same weight. At the center of it all sat Darius Von. He wore a simple black suit. No medals, no crown, just the silver pin of Earth on his chest and the calm, steady focus in his eyes. This was not just another meeting. It was the first gathering of the new council. Delegates from every world took their seats. The chamber was quiet, filled with a feeling few had felt in centuries. Hope. Darius spoke. Let this be our beginning, he said. Not of dominance, but of cooperation. Not of fear, but of trust. He paused and looked around. 10 years ago, Earth joined this council. We were the last to arrive, the youngest, the most doubted. But today we do not lead because we demanded it. We lead because we showed what leadership means, accountability, truth, and vision. He raised his hand and pointed to the new rotating system on the hollow display behind him. No seat here will stay still. No voice will be silenced. From this day forward, leadership will move, world to world, people to people. No species is greater, no species is lesser. We rise together or not at all. Applause echoed through the chamber, not wild or loud, but steady, full of meaning. After the meeting, Darius walked the long corridor of the station alone. The windows showed space stretching into the distance, stars blinking quietly. He thought of where it all began, the broken cities of Earth, the flooded streets, the burning skies. He thought of his mother, repairing machines under a collapsing roof, of his first ship, of the first step onto council grounds. They had called humans unpredictable, dangerous, unfit to lead, and yet here he stood. He met Juno on the deck outside the Hall of Stars. She said nothing at first, just handed him a small tablet. "It's done," she said. "The new system is in place. The next chair will be chosen in 5 cycles." Darius nodded. "Good, then let's make these 5 cycles count." She looked at him. "What will you do now?" He smiled slightly. "Lead, but not forever, just long enough to show what's possible." They stood together, looking out at the stars. Ships passed slowly, blinking like fireflies across the void. Earth had been the last to arrive. Now, it had shown the galaxy a new way forward, not with fear or force, but with vision and responsibility. This was no longer the story of Earth joining the Council. This was the story of how Earth helped change it.